First, I just have to say thank you, Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah, for this book right here. Thank you so much. Hey, everyone. Welcome. I am so excited to be here today. Let me tell you, I cannot wait to talk about this book, The Chain Gang All Stars, right here. Let's just give a little round of applause before I even get into it. That's how excited I am to talk about this book. I am so there's so much to say. I think I've been wanting to do a video on this for a while. I have started and stopped because, you guys, there's just so much that I want to talk about. And I've been struggling as to okay, how am I going to talk about it? How am I going to talk about in a way where I'm not spoiling anything? Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything. I kind of have figured that out. But you can tell my pure enthusiasm about this book. You can see it all over my face. So yes, let's jump right into this book. First, we're going to start with the fantastic author, his debut novel. You guys, this debut novel from Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah is so impressive. I am so impressed by him, and I just cannot wait for him to write more so that I can read more. I will be one that will have everything that he writes because I'm a fan of his writing. This work is vivid, it's imaginative, it's bold, it's musical and lyrical, it's so many things. And this was published not too long ago in 2023. I want to say what Stephen King, I do have my notes for those of you all who are joining me for the first time. I forgot to do all of this because I'm so excited to talk to you about this. Welcome. My name is Chantel. I don't even know if I said that. So welcome. My name is Chantel. And I'm a book lover. And if you are watching this channel, that means that we're friends. You're a book lover too. So like and subscribe so that we can hang out. And if you are coming back to my channel, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you are here. And get comfortable, grab something good to drink. I'm sipping on some water right now, but whatever that you like to drink, drink that as we talk about this book. This book was a finalist actually for the National Book Award, and it's also the New York Times top 10 books of the year. And that's why I brought up my name, because I just remembered to tell you all that don't know me, to remind those that have met me. I take notes. I'm a note taker. Ooh, can you all see that? I'm a note taker when I read, you guys. That's just what I do. So if you see me glancing down, it's just because I'm glancing at my notes, because there's certain things that I definitely want to talk about, and I don't want to rob you of my thoughts and my enthusiasm. So if I glance down, that's what I'm looking at. Okay. Stephen King said this quote, which to me, I said, yes, and yes. He said, this book is so good. Brutal subject matter, beautiful writing. This one is from the heart. And I so agree. It is so good. The subject matter is brutal. And the writing is so beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, so let me back up and just talk to you about how I came to know this book. In the beginning of the year, yes, this is one of my January reads, y'all. So in the beginning of the year, I took an inventory of the books that are on all of the bookshelves in my house, and, redid it, organized it, but also was really mindful to look to see, what books are not represented, what kinds of genres are not represented, and what kinds of authors are missing from my bookshelves. And I wanted to make a point to during this year to really stretch myself to read genres that I usually stay away or I don't even pay attention to, and to make sure that I'm reading authors, and being able to listen to voices that I I typically don't. And so, in order for me to be held accountable to that goal, because you all know we have goals, but accountability helps. I joined a book club that helped. I joined actually two book clubs that would help me do that. One book club in particular is a book club that reads sci-fi, dark horror, dystopian, and fantasy books. All of those genres are genres that are not represented on my bookcases. And so this book came from that book group. This was their January read, and I just said, okay, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to read it. And so it was like a blind date. Have you ever seen those like blind date with the books? Yeah, that's how it was for me. I never heard of the author. I never heard of the book, and I didn't even like click to read like what's it about, the synopsis on the back. I didn't even do that. I just bought it and I just started reading completely blind. Woo! It just hit it out the box for me. I was scared, you guys, at first. Not scared, but I was like, I was walking around the book, holding it with my, saying to my husband, I don't know, I probably won't like this, I was downing it before I even gave it a chance. But within the first, like, paragraph, I was hooked. I was hooked by his beautiful writing. Oh, gosh, just his beautiful writing. The language, the language, the language. Oh, I'm a lover of great language. So I want to just first say thank you to my book club. Thank you to Chloe, the leader, and who picked this wonderful book in my book club, Black to the Future book club. I just want to say thank you. All right, so this getting into the story now. Getting into the story. This dystopian novel is set in a futuristic world that is very much our America. And even though it's a futuristic America, it's not like so future that, there are just aspects that are just unrecognizable. There are many aspects of the world, of the landscape, of the way in which things are that are very recognizable. I think actually there's more that is recognizable than there's not. And it focuses on two main female characters that are actually female gladiator type characters that are prisoners, and they are part of the prison systems, the private prison systems gladiator type program that allows them to earn their freedom through fighting. And the fights are gladiator style, so it's fights to the death. Again, a brutal topic, so that's where the brutal comes in. And what we come to learn is that each private prison throughout this country has its own chain gang of gladiators, both males and females alike. And or prisoners are able to join this chain gang system of being warriors if they want to try to earn their freedom. There are different levels, so you don't just win one fight and then you're free. No, that would just be too, no, it doesn't work like that. They have to fight and climb up the ranks. There's several different ranks that they have to climb in order to reach their freedom. And the different chains, like one chain from one prison system will fight members from another chain of another prison system. And they fight in these huge arena style experiences where people pay a lot of money to see human beings battle it out to the death. And not only are there in-person arena fighting, think football stadium field type deals, and all that goes with it, the food, the music, the the hyped up announcer, the games kind of in between. They also stream the fight. So inside of all the homes, should people want to click onto it, they can also view and see these prisoners battling it out to the death. But they took it a step further because they also follow around the chain members, and they have a reality TV show. So while they're both in the ring or arena and out of the arena, their lives are 100% pretty much taped and followed. And so people begin to, have their favorite warrior, and they get to kind of story build around them and just create a constant need for people to view. And along with this, because it's all streamed, your corporations are involved. So the prisoners are branded with corporations. They wear logos. They're literally walking advertisement. And this is the world that our dear author has created for us to be in. And so at the start of the novel, Thorwald, one of the female gladiators, there's two, that's really kind of our both protagonists in a sense, who the story focuses on, is a couple of weeks away from being what they call high freed, which is earning her freedom. She's a couple of fights away from that goal. And she is in love with the other, top female gladiator, whose name is Hurricane Stax. Now, Thorwald and Hurricane Stax are some of the most badass fighters around, and they are on an all-star chain. They have won battles. Not only have they, fought and were victorious in the sense that they were the ones who walked out living and not the other person, but they also do it with such flair and style, and just their way about them. They have a huge fan base of people, and they're really hot commodities. So we see as this novel starts that one is nearing a freedom. And what's really important to her is not that she just gets her own freedom, but what's really important to her is that the chain that she leaves behind, that they keep a sense of their humanity that she's helped to preserve on this train, chain. And so I'm not going to go into spoilers. You all really have to read it yourselves, but there are several different types or groups of people that's represented in the novel. You have definitely those warriors that are fighting, those prisoners that are fighting, and we get to learn more about the different ones that fight and where they come from, the types of prisons that they do. You also have guards and that are with the prisoners, and that kind of relationship and perspective. Along with that, we have representation of the fanatic fans, those people that are just 100% kind of, shape their life around it. They never miss a streaming event. They have their favorites. And then there is a character who represents someone who is really against this type of display of inhumanity and violence, and is in the beginning of the book just totally not for it. But eventually gets brought in by her husband, who's a fanatic fan, and we see the changes that it has in her. There's also a group of protesters, although the protesters, unfortunately, are small, but they're sort of just protesting this type of violence and inhumane acts towards other, human beings. And so we have that contingency. And so the story gets played out by all of these different perspectives. And the way that it's written is from multiple character shifts. There's also, within the character shifts, there's narration shifts. So most of the novel is written in third person, but there are a few instances where we do have first person narration, and it makes it quite interesting. And along with that, some chapters are very clinical in nature, almost scientific, while others are lyrical and poetic in form. And you guys, a big kind of thing about this novel, which was a surprise for me, are the use of footnotes. Yes, footnotes, the use of footnotes. The footnotes both tell us about more information about a character. For example, it might go in and reference a newspaper article about, the crime they committed or so on and so forth. But it also gives us information, factual information, court cases of what's happening in America's prison system. And my goodness, there's so much that I didn't know. This book also made me smarter in that way. And I think that the use of the footnotes and the style was a brilliant, risky choice. I think it's either something that's going to work for people or it's something that's going to not work for people because it will be a distraction to the prose. And I agree with that. I think that it is a distraction, but I think that it's intended to be a distraction. The footnotes don't allow you to just consume yourself and think, oh, this is just fantasy. This is just a story. This is just a novel. Because you have these interjection of the footnotes coming in, it brings you back, or it definitely did for me as I was reading. It snapped me back to like, no, this stuff is really happening. This is real. This isn't just story. And so because of that, I experienced this in a different way. This struck my mind and my heart in a completely different way. And so I thought the use of footnotes was brilliant. Let's see. There's so many subplots to this book as well, different characters that we meet and that we kind of go on their journey. But one of the things that I really liked that the author did is we got to know the prisoners first. We were able to experience them and just their day to day, to experience both their brutality and what they did in the arena, but also their humanity as to how they try to still create and carve out a sense of life for themselves and for others before we knew why they were in prison in the first place. And I really liked that information wasn't something that we had when we first met the different prisoners. And I like the fact that this book is made up of all different types of people who committed all different types of crimes. And with some who really did it and some who didn't. And I think that writing it that way, by the time I came to understand what they did, what the crime was, and the nature around the crime, and if they were really innocent or not, I was confronted with my own biases. What I thought about them just because I am meeting these people and they are prisoners. And so I think that was another gift that this novel gave as far as things for me to think about and to reflect upon. Chloe, the leader of the book club, said that she described this as a book that provokes real revolutionary reflection. And I think that she nailed it on the head. This book does provoke real, meaning what is true, revolutionary reflection. It raises so many vital questions about our prison system and about the purpose of our prison system and how there are just evolving ways and ever emerging ways to punish and to keep people within a system and how it works. It talks about or raises questions about who is expendable, what type of person is expendable in our society. Who are the ones that don't matter, and how are they determined not to matter? It raises the question of the commodification of violence, and not just the commodification of violence, but I would say also man's addiction to violence and to violent acts and violent things. Um, it's almost as if violence is, it's not almost as if, in here it definitely is, violence is a dopamine hit, and it's just that wanting more and more. And what is the more and more? What are the continued edges, right, that we have to, that we create, so that there's just more and more of this extreme of violence. It definitely has commentary on the role of media that perpetuates violence, but also perpetuates stereotypes, and how it plays up these narratives, and how it cuts tape. So this whole kind of reality TV, and what's really real about reality TV versus what is basically, it is a story, a script that is kind of posing itself to be reality TV, and the stereotypes that they need, those stereotypical characters that they need to tell those stories. It talks about, though, how also people can make still a life in very hard and hopeless places, and the necessity of human beings needing to belong to one another, needing affection, needing to be seen, needing compassion, needing love. And it really does explore, all of those. There is another group of people in this book that is significant. And I also want to bring this group up because it's the people that don't say anything about it. They're not the fanatic fans. They're not the people that are like vocal. This is terrible and you shouldn't watch it. And I could never, but then, eventually watches it. And it's not the protesters. It's the people who don't say anything about it. And I think that that's like the larger kind of like, I'm not doing it and I think it's bad, but I'm not going to say anything group of people. And I think that, that's definitely a group that I was paying attention to as I was trying to say, Chantel, where would you be in this? What group would you? I think it's always, as a thought experiment, we always hope that we would be in the group that's the right group, right? If history looks back, we're going to be the ones that are in the right group. But where would I be? Where would I really fall in this group? That was just something that was interesting for me to think about and to consider as I was reading this story, because I think that there's so much that we can even pull down, even if we say from some shows that we watch, or just the ways in which humans are made to be in what I'll call maybe ridiculous situations, or situations that aren't not honoring, or situations where I wouldn't want to be in myself, but it's for the cause of someone else's enjoyment. So what do we do? What are we exchanging for the cost of someone else's enjoyment, someone else's entertainment? And what are we calling entertainment anyways these days? What is the role of it? There's just so many things that this book brings up to talk about and to explore. It's definitely worth the read. The other thing I wanted to mention about this book and the way that it was written, it was as if a soundtrack was pulsing through my body as I was reading. I don't know the definite song, but it was definitely had a beat, a rhythm to it. It has energy in how it's just written. There's just a lot of energy and emotion that is present in the words that it uses, and the imagery that is used. You can see everything and you feel everything. And it's one that definitely does grip you, and it keeps you, and you're immersed into this world. This was a page turner for me because I needed to know what was happening, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I couldn't put it down. This is definitely a book that has opened my eyes not only to the prison system that's here, and has also encouraged me, because it's not that I didn't know that it had faults. I know it does. But I think that this really encourages me. As I said, who are you? Are you one that's just going to do nothing and say, oh, it's bad, but I'm not impacted, so not my problem? Or what are the ways in which you can do something? This book is written as so it's the genre, you guys, is, I think if you look it up, because I did, is a dystopian novel. I think that that's how they categorize this, dystopian fiction. Um, but I would have an and to that. I think that this is written in the tradition of African American protest novels. And even though, and I say written in the tradition of, it's almost like the great, grandchild of, right? Um, Even though all of the characters in here were not African American, all the prisoners were not. Definitely the majority of the characters in here were. And I say the protest novel because literature that came out of the Black diaspora, the literature was a protest. And our art was a way of telling our story. Our art was a way of telling the struggle and displaying the realness and the humanity of the humanity that existed within the people that were being affected. Art was a way in to that, and art was a way to touch and prick hearts. And so that's definitely what this novel did for me. It touched and pricked my heart in a way about this very real issue, this very brutal issue, in a way that I will not forget, and that challenges me to not just be one that, not my issue, and to walk down and to find my place somehow in some way with the protesters. So I am so thankful for this for this work. I am such a fan of it. I give it 4.5 stars. And I will be reading. He has a collection of short stories called Friday Black. I'm going to read that as well. Like I said, I know I'm going to read whatever this author puts out. And I do encourage you to read it. If you have read Chain Gang All Stars, could you please let me know what you thought in the comments below? I would love to know that. What did you think about it? What rating would you give it, and why? And who do you identify with in those groups of people in the stories? The protesters, the fanatic fans? Do you see any comparison to our world and things that we consume that isn't healthy for us to consume, isn't life-giving, and that definitely makes other people, just these commodities or expendables to our entertainment? I would really, really love to know all of your thoughts. Okay, I think this one has been like maybe the longest video I've done thus far, but I had a lot to say, as you guys know. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. You could do this right now. Right now. I'll wait a second. There it is. Thank you. But that helps me rise in the algorithm, and it helps me to reach out to more book lovers like us as we grow our book fam, guys, because that's what we're doing. We are growing our book family. Until I see you again, I hope that you all stay safe, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what is going on around you. Stay safe, stay connected to those you love, and as always, you guys, you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Stay reading. Bye.